y'all, welcome back to another episode of Pouring Out My Thoughts, hosted by myself, your favorite anonymous podcast host, HJ. This is the podcast where I just talk about whatever I'm thinking, whatever I'm feeling, and every subject is randomly chosen. As you saw, today's subject is about being a mother without knowing who you are, without knowing yourself. Um, I do apologize if y'all hear any noise in the background. We not fancy over here, so my recording setup is not the greatest with noise isolation, but just ignore it. Um, but being a mother without knowing who you are. So I have, as you've heard in other episodes, I have a son. He'll be one soon. And I am in a place where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, how I want to go forward, you know? Um, and in order to do that, I need to figure out who I am first. And I feel like that's what everyone's doing, you know? Especially within my age range. I'm in my 20s. Um, I before I had my son, that's one of the biggest things I was focusing on was finding myself. I moved away from home, so I started um, experimenting with a bunch of different things. If you go back and listen to the episode about fear, um, and Matt, I kind of talked about all the things I let hold me back because I was afraid. So now I was kind of pushing those barriers and just doing things afraid and learning about more things that I liked and didn't like and enjoyed. Um, so now I am trying to do that again. The issue is, um, before I got pregnant, specifically right before I got pregnant, within those months, I had finally got to a point in my life where I was like starting to like love my body a little bit more, and kind of enjoy what I saw in the mirror, and also, um, find a love of some of the things that I enjoy doing, some of those hobbies that I mentioned in the previous episode, um, and just trying to figure out which ones I wanted to do specifically. And then I got pregnant, and then as once the baby got here, I was mom. Then I got married and I was wife, and that was kind of all I allowed my identity to be: my husband's wife and my child's mom. That was it. Um, and I lost myself for a very long time. Um, and long enough for me, I know there are mothers who have waited even more time. Um, but I spent a lot of time just being those two things. And it's scary and it's painful because it's like I did all this work to kind of build myself and learn myself, and then it was kind of washed away when these two new identities came into play. Um, where I'm not just a mom, I'm not just a wife, I am someone outside of those things, but who is that? And I didn't because I didn't have much of a foundation before I had my son, it was able to just kind of wash away really easily. Um, had I fully like had I fully built that foundation before I had my son, maybe it would have been easier to get back to it. Um, than it is now, because now I feel a lot of guilt, and I know I'm not the only one. I feel a lot of shame and a lot of guilt for trying to enjoy myself outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife. I feel very guilty sometimes. Not sometimes, a lot of the times actually. I feel guilty for needing time to myself. I feel guilty for um needing to try things on my own so that I can learn about myself. I feel like a lot of the times I'm supposed to spend that time learning about my son or learning about my husband, and my my support system around me, all of them, because I've loosely talked about this with people around me, and they all feel that no, you need to understand yourself. You're not just mom and husband. I mean, not just mom and wife. My husband included. He's very much like, no, you need to do this for yourself. You're not just these two things. You are a whole person outside. And I asked him a couple days ago, maybe, um, if he feels like I kind of lost that. And he said, yeah, definitely. Like it kind of, it's gone away a lot. And it's concerning just how much of myself I have ignored and deleted and just allowed these two new identities to fully replace. And that gets kind of scary. Not even kind of, it just gets scary in general because you don't know who you are, you don't know what you like, you don't know what you enjoy. Um, it makes it hard to, if they're not around, then what do you have, you know? Like if my son and like okay, so on Sundays, my husband takes our son and goes and do whatever. It's my baby free day. If I wasn't trying to find some sort of identity in myself and I allowed myself to just be mom and wife, these days would be extremely difficult. It's like I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know. I'd feel lost. I'd feel empty. I'd feel without. I'd feel like nothing because the two parts of myself are just gone. The only two parts of myself would be gone. And I did feel like that a lot towards the beginning. Anytime he'd take the baby for a few minutes, like just a few minutes, I would, um, or maybe a couple hours, I would just feel like just something taking up space, um, because I didn't have anything. And I wish that I would have not wasted a lot of time being afraid to explore myself before I had my son. Um, I didn't spend enough time trying to figure that out. I wasted a lot of it being afraid, and I wish I hadn't done that. Um, I don't regret when. Okay, hold on. I don't really regret anything. But I guess some parts of me wish I would have um gotten that done first and then had my son. Obviously, I didn't plan to get pregnant. I was just doing stuff I had no business doing, and then bam, a baby. But um, if I was talking to my younger self, I'd be like, figure this stuff out first, because the timing of when I had my baby is like logistically, I'm in my mid 20s. We had just bought a house, so we were on our own. Like that makes sense to me. That's fine, but actually from a personality standpoint, from an identity standpoint, not being sort of an empty shell of a person, like an empty vessel of a person that's just waiting for an identity and then becoming a mom. It's real easy for mom to fully fill up that space and take up that space. And if I since I did not have anything else within that space, that's all I was. I was just mom, or I was just wife. And even wife was a smaller category than mom. Looking at my mother, and a lot of the conversations that we have, um, when it comes to the new chapters that we're both in, me as a new mother, her as a new grandmother, and as a woman all her children are adults now. They're all out of the house pretty much. So she's experiencing a new step in her life. We were just talking about just like being an individual outside of our children, or my child, her children. Um, and if you remember from an episode about outgrowing your parents, one of the things that I said in there was that my mom told me that we need to see each other as I'm not just her child and she's not my mom. Like I have to stop viewing her that way. Yes, she's my mom obviously, but I'm also an adult. My own person. And I feel like that applies here too, that logic where I'm my own person. I'm not just mom. And I'm I am me first. I'm HJ first. Um I'm not mom all the time. I'm not wife all the time. Those are just I don't want to say parts that I play, or roles that I play, but those are things that I do. Yes, those are my other titles that I have, but they're not what define me. And I allowed that to. And I'm glad that I am in a space where I'm trying to do that now rather than waiting until my children are adults and they're out of the house and then it's just me and my husband and my children are gone and I'm just like, "Oh, I don't really know what to do." Like I think the fear is that if I don't figure out myself as a person outside of them, that when they do become adults, I'm just gonna insert myself into their lives too much to where they would push me away. And even probably now as he's growing up and he'll become a teenager, just inserting myself too much into his life to where he feels like he doesn't have the space to be his own person or he doesn't have the space to choose what he wants to do. I'd be just like I said in his space. Um and that's why I feel like if you are someone who plans on having children, and I think this applies for dads too, but I'm not, or guys too. I'm not a guy, so I can't really speak to that. I might have my husband speak in on that. But for the mothers out there, if you want to become a mother, I think it's extremely important to figure out who you are first. Um, because I think there's way too many things at risk. Um, if you have no sense of self, no sense of identity, no sense of loving yourself for who you are, and not just loving yourself because I'm a mom or loving myself because I'm a wife, that is terrifying. Because if when those two things go away, if and when, um, and I say only reason I say wife is because what if you either get divorced or um you become older in age and your spouse passes away, it's just you, then what? And what do you have? Um, I don't want to lose myself completely, um, and forget everything that I love and everything that I enjoy. So I feel like I know it's like a lot of I wish I could have, I should have, could have, would all day long. So I feel like now is the time that I'm gonna spend more time learning about myself and trying to figure out who I am. What does that mean? What defines me? Um, what does it mean to be me? When if someone were to ask me, who are you? Outside of your family, like what does it mean to be you? What are some characteristics about you? And I don't mean just like, oh, she likes the color purple, not the movie, the color. She likes to read, oh, she likes to write. I mean, like, what are what is your personality? What kind of person are you? Are you a sociable person? Are you um a creative? Are you someone who loves to delve into art history? Are you someone who likes to learn about marine life and focus so much on that? Are you someone who likes caring for other people in all their kind of in a spiritual way or a physical way? Are you someone who whatever it is, just I feel like a lot of me is focusing on my gifts. I guess that's the biggest thing is like learning about my gifts and exploring those. What gifts do you have? If someone asks you what gifts do you have, could you if somebody asked you right now, I'm asking you right now, what are your gifts? What gifts do you have? What spiritual gifts do you have? What physical gifts do you have? What creative gifts do you have? Do you know what those are? Um and I've realized that I don't know what they are for me. People have told me over the years like, oh, you're really that's one of your gifts. Like my mom, she one of the things she's told me is my gift of words. And sometimes I'm just like, lady, what is you talking about? Because when I talk, I'm just like it don't really sound right to me. I'm like, she tripping for real. um and I know she's mostly I would assume she's talking about my writing. I might have to talk to her about that more. But people have told me different gifts that I have, And I don't know if I just don't believe it because I don't see it, or I have just what's the word? Put myself down so much that it doesn't make sense for me. Like I feel so lowly sometimes, where the idea of me having gifts doesn't really make sense. Um, and maybe had I really explored that before I became a mother, maybe it wouldn't be so hard now. Because I feel like that instead of trying to learn who I am outside of being a mother, I feel like what should have happened was I knew who I was. I had my baby. And while I'm having my baby in the first year, just kind of putting myself on pause just for a moment, just to pause some of those things so I can focus on this life that can't really talk right now. Can barely can't move around. That is kind of learning. They just got here. They're trying to figure these things out. And then I push play back on my gifts, my things. And throughout his little baby life also, dipping into it every now and again. And then the older he gets, the more I focus on myself as well. That's what I feel like I should have done. But again, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Um, so I wonder how long it'll take. I know it's going to be a very long and arduous process of figuring out who I am. Um, I feel like it's a lifelong process, honestly, because I feel like as we get older, I believe once we get older, with every new chapter, every new milestone, we change, whether we know it or not. I feel like we change, we grow. I hope everybody's out here growing. um, and I think that sometimes those experiences change us, and we have to learn about ourselves, not all over again, but kind of learn more about ourselves. Like me, pre mom, pre baby, and me with baby, for me it's two completely different people for the most part. So almost completely different people. And I have to really figure out who she is as a mom. But like I said, I'm not just a mom. So I really have to figure out who I am and how does being a mom play into that. Um instead of oh, I'm just a mom who has a person who has these other interests, I feel like it should be I'm a woman who is also a mom. You know? I'm not just a mom with interests or things that she enjoys or hobbies. I am a woman who is a mom who is also a wife, or who's a wife and also a mom, whatever. Like, those things don't define me, but they are a part of me. But the issue is I have to figure out what the whole is. I have to figure out what me as a woman is. What does that mean? It's one of the reasons I created the podcast. Like, not even just it's called Finding Her Identity Network. Um, Finding her identity. That's as a woman finding out who I am. And the network is the community of other women out there who are also trying to figure out who they are. The way that I've decided to do that is turn on this recording and start talking for 20 to 30 minutes and see what I learn about myself. Um, I know sometimes like I'll be talking and y'all hear like a pause. That's me like, dang, did I really just say that? Or, oh wow, that's surprising. I didn't know that about myself. I learned a little bit about myself with each episode, even if the episodes sound random sometimes. Like the last episode about being a picky eater, like it's very random, but I learned things about myself. Like in that picky eating episode, I learned that I just be lying, like unknowingly lying about things I like for some reason, and I can't tell you what that reason is. Still trying to figure that out. Um, and in this one so far, I have learned that how I want to identify as a woman with these other things. These other things are a part of me. I just got to figure out what the woman part is. Who I am as a woman. As an individual also, just as a human being. Um, and yeah, I don't know. If you are I don't want to just say new mother, because I feel like even older women and mothers, grandmothers are also probably could be going through the same situation. Like, what do you suggest? Do you have any things that helped you um get back in touch with yourself and learn about yourself and figure yourself out? Um, how did that work out for you? What was your support system like, especially for those who are married? How did you work that out with your husband? I think that's something that I'm trying to navigate now, is like, how do I figure this out with my husband? Because he married me before our baby. Like, he we decided that we were the ones for each other. Like, we were going to do this till death do us part before my baby got here. Like, before our son was even, before I was even pregnant, we were like, yeah, no, it's us for life. Um, and I was a different woman back then, but he is still with me. He still loves me, and I've grown. I've grown a lot. Um, and now that I'm still trying to figure out who I am, um, outside of being his wife and outside of being our child's mom, how do I still continue figuring out who I am without, not even without, but in addition to figuring out how to be a wife and figuring out how to be a mom. Um, and how do I get him to support me in that way, you know? Because obviously I'm not going to ask him to do the work for me, because he can't. That's impossible. But how do I get him? What kind of support should I get from him? How do I ask him for that support, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, so yeah, I'm very curious. For those of you who have even talked to your mothers, how did she help you figure this out? Um, Mama, if you listening, help a sister out. If you have any ideas, I know we'll probably have like a 2 hour long conversation, and I'll probably end up being upset at some point for who knows why. But yeah, it's a shorter episode today. Um, I might, as I'm the more that I learn about myself, the more that I put myself into this podcast and grow within this, and the more community that we gain, um, I'll continuously update um, to figure out how it's been going for me. I've been writing again. I wrote my first short story that I've written in a few years, and I felt so proud of myself. I felt like a spark, some joy inside my soul that I just can't explain. And I was like, there she is. Oh, and like, just thinking about the story that I wrote and listening to it, it's just like I felt something that I hadn't felt in a really long time, and that's what I'm searching for. How to continuously get that. So I'm gonna continue to keep writing, continue to keep reading. I'm still reading Out There Screaming. I'll give an update at some point on the next two short stories, because I know I stopped with Wandering Devil. Oh no, I was supposed to do Wandering Devil next. I'll do Wandering Devil and Invasion of the Baby Snatchers. Those are the next two stories. So I will update y'all when I'm ready to do that. I need to finish this book before the end of the month. I've been so focused on other stuff. Um, but yes, that is all I have for this week. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, words of encouragements for myself or any other women, leave a comment down below, or you can go to my socials on Instagram or on TikTok at Fairy Network or Fairy.network. One is Fairy Network and the other is Fairy.network, but that's FHERI Network. It'll be in the description box. But yes, thank y'all so much for listening and tuning in, and thank y'all so much for the support from all the previous episodes. Y'all seem to really be liking the outgrowing your parents episode. No, it's my most popular one right now. So I'll probably do another part with that, with my mom, maybe, if she has the time. She is a busy woman. And I might do another episode with my husband. Again, if there's the time, we might need to do it when we get a babysitter. but but yes, thank y'all so much. And I will tune in. Oh my gosh, no. I will see y'all. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.